Hey everybody, this is TechNolli, and today we're going to do a little quick build. I had a customer send this computer to me. They were having problems getting it together. So they sent it in to me, and we're going to re-put it together. And I just want to show you real quick. It's one of these iTX Silverstone white cases, of course. And I'll show you that in a minute. He's got 32 gigs, two 16 gig sticks, 1 terabyte NVMe, and we're just using a GT710 that is still supported. Yes, NVIDIA, that is still supported. Just a little cheapy card to run for music production. So it doesn't need anything crazy. And then this is a B560M ASRock board, and we've got an i5 10600 we're putting in here, 6-core processor. That should be plenty with this 32 gigabytes. So let's put it together real quick. I'm not at my normal location, so pardon the ugliness of the video, but we'll still get a video done. All right, let's get into this. Okay guys, we'll try to do this with this cell phone setup. But here's the board right here. We've already got the CPU. He went with a Noctua low profile CPU, which is kind of nice. Here's our memory slots. We've got our one PCIe slot. Here's where our NVMe goes, and there's no NVMe on the back of this board, so it's just one NVMe. We do have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, audio, LAN connector. If you wanted to use onboard graphics, you probably could. I haven't configured this one for that, but I'm sure we could. And that's about it. So let's go ahead. I'm going to need this, and these are the antennas. Won't need this, but I will need a little screw for the NVMe drive. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Little screw to screw that NVMe drive down right here. All right, let's get into this. Okay, let's go ahead and put in this NVMe. Just slides in here, push it down, and we need a screw on the top. This is supposed to be a magnetic screwdriver. There we go. I think it is. And we'll just tie that down, not too crazy tight. All right, we'll stick some RAM in it. We've got some T-Force Vulcan Z. This is DDR4 3200 16 gig sticks by Team Group. I've used a lot of these, never had an issue with them, so good choice on RAM. We'll just pull these little tabs out right here, slide it in, and you want to hear that little snap. It only goes in one way, so don't force it. All right, now, so there we go. There's the board. Really not much else to do. We're going to go ahead and put it in this case. I want to show you this case. It's kind of nice. So it's got 2 USB 3s on the front, microphone, headphone jack. It's a nice little grill face for ventilation. You got a lot of ventilation here. You got it on the sides, on both sides. So they thought about that, which is very good for an iTX case. It needs to breathe, right? And let me pull this lid off. Now this right here, it's got 4 screws in it, but I took them out. We got a SSD here for extra storage, and also a Team Group. Okay, so got a 512 here, so you can get 2.5s in this case, which is nice. And or you can put in a 3.5 inch in here. Now it did not come with this fan, so You definitely, if you get this case, you want to buy a fan for the front, because why it doesn't come with one, I have no idea, because that's crazy. You got to have a fan. So I put that in there, and I have it pulling in some fresh air. Then you got your little bracket here. What's nice about this case, it was the smallest case we could find that would supply or support a full-size power supply. So that's really cool. So full size, plus we've got room for a decent sized graphics card here down in the future. If we want to put it in a bigger graphics card, I think we might be able to get a full length card in there, but at least like a 5500, 5700, or 5600, 5700, maybe not a giant one, but definitely a large card. And then we've got this Corsair 650 watt power supply. It's going in there, and we're going to mount that in. So let's get the motherboard installed. It's really simple, because on this board there's just 4 standoffs, and so the standoffs are right there for your motherboards. So 4 screws and that's it. So let's put in this little I/O shield. Okay. Now on your less expensive motherboards, these are not typically already installed, but that's fine. We don't care. We don't care about putting it in. It's no big deal. Go ahead and bend these tabs up a little bit right here, because sometimes when you put the board in, you'll put the board in and this tab will be stuck right in front of your port like that. So you want to bend that up a little bit just to make sure that you're not going to have problems when you put the board in and you got the whole thing built and then, oh, I can't get a cable in. So we'll just put this in, just snap it in. All right, guys. Just a little friction. All right, there we go. A nice little snap sound. That's what we want. Okay, and then let me grab the board. We'll put it in. I just grab it by the fan and just slide her in there. And I always like to look at the back to make sure everything's clear. Good clearance on that. Alright, so there we go. Alright, let's get the screws for this. Okay, we got our screws here. And I've got a magnetic screwdriver. So I'll tell you what, you got to have a magnetic screwdriver when you're putting in these motherboard screws, because you'll never get them started. It'll take you forever. So we'll just get these. Now these are the fine thread screws. These are fine thread, round head. So just want to use those. We'll get them started. I don't like to tighten all of them yet until I get them all started. And then I'll snug them up. This one's always fun to get to. The ones over here. Especially in a case like this. Alright, let's get to this one. There we go. I don't know if you can see this or not, but this one's kind of at an angle. But we'll get it started and then we'll get it in there. Okay, now we can start tightening them up a little bit. You don't have to go crazy, guys. Don't have to go crazy. Okay. All right. 3, and tighten up this one. Okay, there we go. Nice and tight. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put on this front-facing fan cable while I can, while it's easy, and it just goes right here. Alright, now let's go ahead and put on this cable right here is for your front USB ports. So we'll go ahead and put it on, and it is notched. So it has a notch right here and a notch on the front. So I will put it in. And on this ASRock board, these are your pins for your front panel, which is your on-off, your LED lights, you know, for the hard drive and for the power. So let's go ahead and put those on. So what we've got is power, which is green and white, and they're labeled right here. And we want the positive wire on the outside, furthest pin over, top row. And I'll show you this when I'm done here. Okay, so there is power LED, and then in front of that 2 pins we would put on our hard drive LED, and it shows a plus pin, and we're gonna use the outside one, and then the reset switch is right next to that one, okay, which is right on the bottom row, and then the power switch goes right above it. And it doesn't matter which way you put on the reset button or the power switch, it will work. It doesn't have a polarity. Okay, there we go. Now this is the front HD audio, so we'll go ahead and put it on while we can, which is right here. And I say while we can because once we get the power supply in here, it gets tight. It gets ugly and it gets tight. All right, so there we go. So I put that cable right there because I'm going to have my little graphics card right here. Okay, let's grab that power supply. Now, what do you think, guys? I'm going to have this thing pull the hot air out. Since it does have a vent on top, I'm going to pull the hot air out of the power supply. Okay, so let's go ahead and put on our 24 pin. Just right there. And we're going to put on our CPU power, which is right here on the side of the case. You see it right down here? So I'm going to put that on. Okay, so that's on. Now I can go ahead and lay this in here. All right, like that. Now, this is where it gets messy because you got all these cables and you don't want your fan to get stuck. So you have to make adjustments, and I'll do that in a second. Let me go ahead and put some screws in this power supply because it's just falling everywhere. So we'll get one in here. All right, one. Okay, we'll put one here. Top right. And bottom right here in the corner. All right, so there we go. I knew you couldn't see that, but there we go. We're in. Now, this cable right here, this has a bunch of SATA power connectors, and we're going to use that for our little SSD up on top. But let's take a look here at the cable management. What I'm going to do is just try to make it as pretty as possible, or functional as possible, because this guy is going to carry this around with him. So we don't want it to bump and then these cables start smacking the fan, and then he has to take the top of the case off to free everything up. Let's go ahead and put our SATA cable on here. Okay, got my little SATA cable. It's got a 90 on one side and a straight edge on the other one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it, let's see, straight down in there and grab the right top SATA connector. Okay, you heard that snap. And then this will hopefully go into here. And of course it won't. And I can't put it this way because of the top of the case. So don't make that mistake. I'm going to go ahead and take this cable back out. And I'll have to put, or I'll have to get another cable. These motherboards come with two cables. Let's see if they have a straight on both ends. Alright, so there we go. Straight, yeah. So we do have some straight cable. Just be better. I really don't want to use a... So I got two straight ends, right? I'll go ahead and put this in here. Get this out of here. And then we can put this on like that. Okay? And again, trying to keep cables from touching other cables. And I'll go ahead and put in this power like that. I wish you could put in the cables different, but it's just so tight here that you just have to kind of go with it. But that cable is never going to come out because it's right up against the power supply. So that's good, I guess. All right, then it comes with these little flat coarse thread screws that you just tighten down this bracket, and that kind of strengthens up the case. It's a really nice case, though. I got to tell you, it's strong, it's sturdy. So put those on there. All right, and here everything else is tight. And then if we look down in here, we can see that we're definitely clear of the fan, which is here. So everything's clear of it. What I'll do is I'll take some zip ties and tie these together so they don't, shift around. I'll show you the other side. See, you're good there. All right, now let's put in this little card, and we can just slide it right in here and snap her in. Pretty simple. And then it does have a little guard for one of them. So we'll put that in. And then this goes on top and holds everything together. And then you can also put a couple screws in the top there to tie everything really tight. Then this case just goes on like this, sucking in all the little cables. And that's it. Yeah, nice. And that little bracket just flew out of there, so you definitely want to put a screw in there. So there we go. It's a nice case. And it's pretty light. It's not that heavy at all. I'm going to go ahead and take that thing out of there. But next thing we'll show you is that little thing there. Next thing we'll show you is some benchmarks on this. And we'll just see how fast it is. I'm also going to show you a benchmark on Logic Pro X. So if you want to get in one of these, you could. It does not have Thunderbolt, so don't get excited. We can make one with Thunderbolt, but this one doesn't have it. But really inexpensive. All of that information about pricing and everything is down in the description, so you can check it out if you want to build yourself one. But really an inexpensive system to get into. I think the motherboard is like $150, and we do have the Wi-Fi. So with the shortage of parts right now and everything, the graphics cards, you're able to get those. You're able to get RAM. You're able to get NVMe's and SATAs and or SSDs and things like that. So, and CPUs, haven't had any problems getting CPUs. So inexpensive system to build. In the description you'll get all the costs and everything for all of that stuff. So let's turn it on and see how it is. Okay guys, so here we are. We're in Logic, and there is this test that's called the new Logic Benchmark Test number 2. And if you just Google that, you will find this little test that you can download. Now let me show you what's going on for you guys that don't know or have never seen this test. What it is it has up to 128 tracks of a VSTI, a virtual instrument, and then 4 plugins on each channel. So what I've got here is highlighted 25 tracks. So it's 25 virtual instruments, and this is a synthesizer is what it is. 25 synths and 5 plugins on each of those channels. And it just has a limiter here on the stereo bus. Now let's go up here, and we'll go here to audio. And we'll see here I'm using my SSL2 audio interface. I'm at 128 buffers. And let's see, we are recording 24-bit, and then over here we're at 44.1, okay, on the sample rate. Okay, so I've got 24 tracks. Now I want to go here in Logic and customize, and I'm going to show the load meters, okay, right here. I'll double click that so we can see it. There's my 12 threads on this 6-core processor. So let's go ahead and hit play on this and see where we are on a CPU load. So there we go, 25 tracks, and we're doing nothing here. I mean, this is what, 30%? So we could easily do this. Now, as you guys know, these are virtual instruments, okay? These are not just audio tracks. Do not take as much power away from your CPU as a virtual instrument track. So just keep that in mind. All right, so let's just go ahead and double this. Let's just go up to 50 tracks, and we'll see if we can do 50 tracks at 44.1, and we'll keep it at 128 buffers. Okay, 47, 48, 49, 50. All right, 50 tracks. Let's see where we are on this load meter. All right, so the CPU fan just kicked in a little bit, but we're still at about, what, 60%? So no problem there. Let's see, can we do 80 tracks? I wish there was a faster way to do this. I probably just don't know how to turn on a lot of tracks all at once, but let's just go ahead and go down here, and there's 70 tracks. Let's just go to 80, because I think we can do 70. 80 tracks, wow. Okay, there's 80. Let's hit it. All right, we're still at 44.1 on the sample rate. 80 tracks, CPU fan kicked in, and let me tell you, if this was in the control room and you had a mic on, it would be a little noisy. So yeah, if this computer was right next to you like it is with me right here. But hey, not bad. 80 tracks. This is an i5 10600K,
80 tracks. We could probably squeeze another 5 out of here if we wanted to go crazy. And there's 85 tracks. And we have not peaked yet. Let's go ahead and run it up to 90. And there's 90. I want to see where it fails. Okay, 90 tracks. It's not failing. I think just a few more and it's going to fail. There's 93. There we go. System overload at 93. So we managed to get 90 virtual instruments with 5 plugins on each virtual instrument. All right, now let's change the well, let's go ahead and click OK. Let's change the bit rate or sample rate to 96. Okay. All right, let's switch that over. Now, I would say we'll be lucky to do what, 40 tracks at 96? So let's back off. Let's back off. Let's get down to 40 tracks and see if this thing will handle 40 at 96. Now 48, you know, I already did the test on this for 48 and I was able to do 80 tracks with no issues, okay? So 90 tracks at 44, 1, and 80 tracks at 48. All right, here's 50. I don't think so, but let's hit it. No. Nope, nope, nope. So let's knock off. There's 45. Nope. Will it do 40 tracks? Nope. I think maybe 35 at 96. There's 35 tracks. There we go. 35 tracks at 96. So not bad at all, guys. Not bad at all. This is a little powerhouse for the money. And you'll see that in the description below. I've got a list of all the parts and everything. And so there you go. Nice little system. Nice little build for anybody doing music and don't need to go crazy on graphics or anything like that. Now, if you put in like a, 570 4 gig card, you could do some graphics on this, some video editing and stuff. So, it's just a really nice budget board. And this motherboard, let me tell you, this motherboard, I had no issues with crashing. None at all. So you're going to love it. It's very stable. And the EFI for this is on my website. And I'll tell you guys, with OPENCORE and all of the changes that are being made, and Big Sur and Monterey, it is getting very difficult to do EFIs. It is getting more difficult as opposed to easier. So I am revisiting what I'm going to do to help you with EFIs, and I am thinking that I may only be able to do EFIs for things that I have thoroughly tested. And so I hate to say that, but I think that's what we're coming to. But that'll be for another video. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you on the next video.